Hello beautiful souls, and welcome back to this channel, a safe space where we dive into the hidden depths of the INFJ experience, where we shine light on the shadows, the silence, and the struggles that the outside world often overlooks. And today we are going to unravel something that is at once heavy and liberating, something that will echo inside you if you are one of those rare INFJs who walk through life constantly carrying the invisible weight of being gifted in ways others cannot see. And the title says it all. 7 everyday struggles only gifted INFJs understand. And this is not just a list of random traits but rather a soul-deep journey into the labyrinth of what it feels like to wake up every morning in a world that misunderstands your complexity, your intelligence, your sensitivity, and your vision, and how these struggles slowly shape your character, your relationships, and your life path. So let's begin. 1. The struggle of overstimulation in an overloaded world. Imagine walking into a crowded room, the kind of place where laughter is bouncing off the walls, conversations are overlapping, and music is thrumming in the background. And while others seem to thrive in this chaos, feeling energized and at ease, you as an INFJ feel the air pressing against your chest. Your mind desperately trying to process every detail. The tone of voice from one side, the flicker of insecurity in another person's smile, the subtle aggression in someone's joke. And instead of enjoying the moment, you're drowning in the sheer volume of unspoken information. For gifted INFJs, overstimulation isn't just about noise or crowds. It's about emotional and energetic overload, where your intuitive radar is constantly picking up vibrations others don't even notice, and while they are free to glide on the surface, you are unconsciously analyzing hidden meanings, unresolved tensions, and unspoken desires, and that makes every social situation, every workplace meeting, every seemingly casual interaction, a battlefield of inner survival. The psychological root of this lies in your heightened sensitivity combined with introverted intuition, a function that does not switch off easily but instead keeps filtering, interpreting, and predicting, so much so that you can end up physically exhausted by what seems like just a normal day for others. I remember an INFJ describing how they once attended a family gathering, only to leave after an hour with tears streaming down their face, not because anything bad had happened, but because they had absorbed the suppressed pain of their cousin's failing marriage, the silent grief of their grandmother, and the quiet resentment simmering between siblings. Emotions no one spoke about, yet emotions that hung in the room like invisible smoke, suffocating only them. And here is struggle. You can't explain it without sounding dramatic. You can't tell people, your vibes are too much for me, without being dismissed, so you stay silent, smile politely, and carry the invisible load home, where you collapse, drained and guilty for being too sensitive. INFJ, you must give yourself permission to retreat without apology, to create sensory and emotional boundaries, to know that protecting your energy is not weakness but wisdom, because the world will never stop being noisy, but you can decide how much of it enters your sacred inner world. 2. The struggle of feeling everything too deeply. There are days when you watch a simple commercial and tears well up in your eyes, not because of the story itself but because you feel the humanity behind it, the love, the loss, the longing, and while others laugh at you for being too emotional, what they don't realize is that your depth of feeling is not a weakness but a gift, though it is one that comes with unbearable weight. Gifted INFJs experience emotions with an intensity that others cannot fathom. When you love with a soul-shaking devotion that consumes you. When you hurt, the pain reverberates like an earthquake inside your chest. When you witness injustice, it doesn't just anger you. It shatters something inside because you feel the brokenness of the victim as if it were your own. The psychological insight here is that your mirror neurons, combined with deep empathic wiring, make your nervous system respond to other people's emotions as though they are happening to you, which means you are constantly living in multiple emotional realities at once, juggling your own feelings alongside those of others. I once spoke with a gifted INFJ who admitted they had to leave their job in customer service because they couldn't handle the pain of listening to customers venting their frustrations, not because they couldn't solve the problems but because every angry word felt like a dagger in their chest, every disappointed tone like a personal failure, and even after work, they lay awake replaying those conversations, their body carrying the emotional residue of strangers. The daily struggle is that you cannot turn it off, and while others dismiss their emotions quickly, you are left processing, analyzing, and healing feelings that aren't even yours, which leaves you emotionally drained and isolated, because who can you explain this to without sounding crazy? Learn to distinguish between what belongs to you and what belongs to others. Practice grounding techniques such as journaling, meditation, or even visualization where you imagine releasing emotions back to their rightful owners, because only then can you live without being swallowed whole by the ocean of collective pain. 3. The struggle of being misunderstood daily. One of the most painful struggles for a gifted INFJ is waking up each day knowing that you will once again be misunderstood, no matter how clearly you try to express yourself, no matter how much you simplify your thoughts, no matter how much you hold back. The irony is that your mind is constantly connecting dots others don't even see, weaving meaning out of seemingly random details, predicting outcomes with startling accuracy, and yet when you try to explain, people often dismiss you as overthinking or being negative, when in reality you are simply seeing further than they can. Psychologically, this stems from your dominant introverted intuition, which perceives patterns and future possibilities that are invisible to others, combined with your complex inner world that rarely finds matching resonance outside. One INFJ told me about how they predicted their company's financial downfall 6 months before it happened, but when they voiced their concerns, their colleagues laughed and brushed it off, only to panic when everything unfolded exactly as they had warned. Yet instead of receiving acknowledgement, the INFJ was blamed for bringing negativity into the team. This struggle wears you down, because it makes you question your sanity, your worth, and your role in the world, and many INFJs end up silencing themselves, hiding their insights, and shrinking their brilliance just to avoid being labeled as too much. Dear INFJ, your struggle of being misunderstood is not proof that you are wrong, but proof that you are rare, and instead of trying to fit into conversations that cannot hold your depth, find or create spaces where your voice is not only heard but valued, whether that's through writing, art, or connecting with fellow deep souls who speak your language. 4. The struggle of carrying other people's secrets. Another everyday struggle only gifted INFJs know too well is the constant, unsolicited confessions from others, because somehow, without even trying, you become the safe space, the confessional booth, the emotional vault for people who barely know you yet instinctively trust you. It could be a stranger on the bus sharing their childhood trauma, a coworker pouring out their marital struggles, or a friend confessing something they've never told anyone, and while this speaks volumes about your aura of safety and trustworthiness, it also leaves you carrying 1,000 unspoken burdens that were never yours to bear. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Your calm, empathetic presence activates a sense of safety in others, lowering their defenses and allowing them to project their inner truths onto you, almost as if your very being acts as a mirror that says, "It's okay, you can be real here." I remember an INFJ who went to a coffee shop only to have the barista share the painful story of their recent divorce within minutes of meeting, and though the INFJ listened with compassion, they left the cafe feeling heavy, their chest tight with empathy, asking themselves why these encounters keep happening everywhere they go. The struggle is that you don't just hear the words, you feel the emotions, you internalize the pain, and you often spend days processing stories that weren't yours to begin with, which leaves you emotionally fatigued and unable to fully live your own life. INFJ, you need to set boundaries even in compassion, to remind yourself that being a witness does not mean being a container, and while you can honor someone's vulnerability, you do not have to sacrifice your mental peace for their healing, because true empathy is not about drowning with someone but about helping them find their way back to shore. 5. The struggle of battling inner perfectionism. For gifted INFJs, perfectionism is not about vanity or ego. It is about the unbearable tension between the vision in your mind and the reality around you, between what you know is possible and what the world seems willing to settle for. You often see the ideal, the higher standard, the more ethical path, and because you cannot turn off that vision, you feel restless, frustrated, and even guilty when reality falls short, which makes every project, every relationship, every decision feel like a test you can never fully pass. The psychology here lies in your INFJ combination, which craves alignment between vision and execution, between inner truth and outer expression, and when there's a gap, you don't just notice it, you feel it as an existential ache. An INFJ artist once told me how they destroyed dozens of paintings because none of them captured the vision they had in their mind, and though others admired their work, they could only see the flaws, the imperfections, the missing essence, which left them paralyzed and doubting their gift. This struggle becomes a daily cycle. You hold yourself to impossible standards, you push yourself beyond exhaustion, and when you inevitably fall short, you spiral into self-criticism, which no one else sees because you present a calm, capable exterior. The antidote is self-compassion, learning to accept that your vision is meant to inspire direction, not demand perfection, and that sometimes the imperfect, unfinished, or flawed version still carries beauty, meaning, and growth, and by embracing this, you free yourself to create, to act, and to live without shackling your soul to impossible standards. 6. The struggle of chronic loneliness. Perhaps the most universal INFJ struggle is the deep, aching loneliness that follows you even in the presence of others, because no matter how many friends you have, no matter how much love surrounds you, there is always a sense that no one fully sees or understands the real you. Gifted INFJs live with layers upon layers of complexity, inner dialogues, and spiritual insights that cannot easily be translated into casual conversation. So while others bond over surface-level topics, you crave soul-deep connections that feel rare and almost mythical. Psychologically, this loneliness is the inevitable byproduct of rarity, because when you are one of the rarest personality types, your very existence means that resonance will always be scarce, and when it is found, it feels like discovering a soulmate, but when it is absent, it feels like exile. I recall an INFJ who described sitting in a room full of friends, laughing and joking, yet feeling as if they were separated by an invisible wall, like a ghost watching life unfold, present but unseen, connected yet alone, and that loneliness followed them like a shadow long after the party ended. The daily struggle is that you cannot voice this loneliness without sounding ungrateful, and so you smile, participate, and play along, while inside your soul aches for someone who can truly walk the labyrinth of your mind. Rather than expecting everyone to meet you at your depth, embrace the beauty of different levels of connection. Some will be light and playful, some will be practical, and a rare few will be profound. And by valuing each for what it is, you reduce the weight of unmet expectations while keeping your heart open to the rare souls who truly see you. 7. The struggle of carrying the weight of the world. Finally, the greatest everyday struggle of a gifted INFJ is the unbearable sense of responsibility for the world, as though the pain of humanity is your personal burden to fix, as though every injustice, every cruelty, every act of indifference rests on your shoulders. You cannot walk past suffering without feeling it in your bones, you cannot ignore injustice without hearing it echo in your soul, and while others can compartmentalize, you carry it all, because your heart refuses to numb itself to the pain of the world. Psychologically, this stems from your extroverted feeling function, which makes you deeply attuned to collective harmony and suffering, combined with your visionary intuition, which compels you to imagine better futures, making inaction feel like betrayal. An INFJ once confessed that they couldn't watch the news without spiraling into despair, because every tragedy felt personal, every injustice felt like a failure, and while others shrugged and said, "That's life," they stayed up at night thinking of solutions, plans, and prayers for people they would never meet. The struggle is that this constant burden leads to compassion fatigue, burnout, and sometimes even depression, because you are carrying a weight no single human was meant to carry. INFJ, you must remember that you are not here to save the entire world. You are here to bring light where you stand, to heal within your reach, to inspire within your capacity, and by focusing on your sphere of influence, you not only preserve your sanity but also create ripples of change that matter more than you realize. So, dear INFJ, These are the 7 everyday struggles that only gifted souls like you truly understand, struggles that make you feel different, isolated, and overwhelmed, but also struggles that prove the depth of your sensitivity, the brilliance of your mind, and the vastness of your heart. You are not broken for feeling too much, you are not weak for needing solitude, you are not flawed for being misunderstood. You are simply rare, and rarity always comes with both burden and beauty, and if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Your struggles are not signs of weakness, they are proof of your extraordinary gift, and the world desperately needs the quiet strength, the deep empathy, and the visionary wisdom that only you can bring. Thank you for staying with me on this journey, and if you felt seen, heard, and understood today, know that you are never as alone as you feel, because somewhere, another INFJ is nodding along with you right now, silently saying, "Yes, that's me too."